Murakami Cleveland Art. Imagine stepping through a threshold, leaving the quiet, predictable world behind, and plunging headfirst into a supernova of color and form. That is the immediate, visceral sensation of entering the Takashi Murakami exhibition in Cleveland. It's not a passive viewing experience, it's a full-body immersion, an assault on the senses in the most exhilarating way possible. The air itself seems to vibrate with an almost electric energy, a hum of playful chaos and meticulous design. Your eyes don't know where to land first. To your left, a colossal sculpture, perhaps 10, maybe 15 feet tall, of one of Murakami's signature characters, Mr. D.O.B., grins with a manic, toothy expression, his form a whirlwind of psychedelic patterns and razor-sharp lines. It's both menacing and irresistibly charming, a perfect paradox that sets the tone for everything to come. To your right, an entire wall, stretching from floor to ceiling, is a sprawling canvas consumed by a tidal wave of smiling flowers. Thousands of them, each with 12 perfectly rounded petals and a beaming, almost beatic face, are pressed together in a riotous, joyful mob. From a distance, it's a beautiful, decorative pattern. Up close, you realize each flower is an individual, a distinct personality in an overwhelming crowd. This isn't just art on a wall, it's a living, breathing ecosystem of happiness. The space itself, likely a pristine, white-walled contemporary gallery within a respected institution like the Cleveland Museum of Art or a similar cultural hub, acts as the perfect foil for this explosion. The stark, minimalist architecture becomes a blank canvas, a laboratory where Murakami's experiments in visual culture are allowed to run wild. The contrast is breathtaking. The quiet reverence typically associated with a museum is shattered, replaced by a palpable buzz. You see people not just looking, but reacting. There are gasps, there are laughs, and there are countless phones held aloft, trying to capture a sliver of the spectacle. This is art that demands interaction, that begs to be shared and disseminated. A core tenet of the philosophy will soon unravel. Murakami understands the modern world, the world of the image, the scroll, the share, and he has built it directly into the DNA of his work. The Cleveland exhibition isn't just housing his art, it's being fundamentally transformed by it. The hollowed halls of high culture are suddenly flooded with the aesthetics of Saturday morning cartoons, of candy wrappers, of the neon-drenched streets of Tokyo's Akihabara district. As you move deeper into the exhibition, the layers begin to reveal themselves. You might encounter a series of paintings that, at first glance, seem to be straightforward appropriations of anime or manga characters. But on closer inspection, the craftsmanship is undeniable. The lines are impossibly clean, the application of color is flawless, a testament to the massive studio of assistants, the Kai Kiki factory, that Murakami runs in a manner inspired both by Andy Warhol's factory and the traditional Japanese master-apprentice system. This isn't a quick digital print, it's a painstakingly created object of immense technical skill. You start to notice the recurring motifs. The mushroom clouds, rendered in cute, almost playful colors, hint at a darker, post-atomic history. The character of Kai and Kiki, one with a sweet, innocent face and the other with sharp fangs, represent the dualities that Murakami constantly explores: innocence and corruption, tradition and modernity, East and West. The curation of the Cleveland show is a journey in itself. It guides you from the immediate pop art punch of the flowers and Mr. D.O.B. towards his more complex and sometimes unsettling works. You might turn a corner and be confronted by one of his bodhisattva paintings, where traditional Buddhist iconography is reinterpreted through his unique lens. The serene figures are surrounded by a maelstrom of his signature characters, their skulls and psychedelic patterns swirling around the central deity. Is it sacrilegious? Is it celebratory? It's both, and it's neither. It's a reflection of a world where sacred traditions and commercialized pop culture are no longer separate entities, but are instead tangled together in an inseparable, often contradictory, whole. This is the genius of the initial experience. Murakami lures you in with bright colors and smiling faces, with a visual language that feels instantly familiar and accessible. It's disarming. You feel a sense of joy, of wonder, of pure, unadulterated fun. But lingering just beneath that surface, there's a profound sense of unease, a critical questioning of the very culture that these images spring from. You are left standing in the middle of this Cleveland gallery, surrounded by this beautiful, overwhelming, and deeply intelligent chaos, and you are forced to ask, what does it all mean? That question is the key that unlocks the entire universe of Takashi Murakami, and it leads us directly to the revolutionary theory that underpins every single piece in this exhibition, the concept of Superflat. Superflat Art Explained. So, what is this powerful force, this intellectual framework that organizes the beautiful chaos you witness in Cleveland? It's a term Murakami himself coined, Superflat. And it is far more than just an artistic style. It's a profound theory about history, culture, and the very nature of Japanese society in the post-war era. To truly understand the smiling flowers and the manic characters, we need to unpack this revolutionary concept. At its most basic level, Superflat refers to a literal visual characteristic present in his work and in a vast amount of traditional Japanese art. Think about Western art since the Renaissance. It has been obsessed with creating the illusion of three-dimensional depth on a two-dimensional surface. Techniques like linear perspective, chiaroscuro, and atmospheric haze were all developed to make a painting look like a window into a real, deep space. Superflat consciously and deliberately rejects this. It embraces the flatness. Inspired by historical Japanese art forms like Yamato-e scrolls and ukiyo-e woodblock prints, Murakami's paintings emphasize the surface. Outlines are crisp and bold, colors are applied in uniform, unblended fields, and there's a distinct lack of shadows or depth cues. The background is often a repeating, decorative pattern that pushes forward, compressing the space until the character and the background exist on the very same plane. It's flat. Super flat. But this is where it gets truly brilliant. Murakami extends this idea of visual flatness into a metaphor for culture itself. He argues that in post-war Japan, the traditional hierarchies that once separated different forms of culture were obliterated or flattened. The devastating impact of World War II and the subsequent American occupation created a society where the distinctions between high culture and low culture, between the elite and the masses, became blurred. In this new, flattened society, a comic book, or manga, could hold as much cultural significance as a classical painting. An animated film, or anime, could explore philosophical themes with the same depth as a great novel. This is the second and most crucial layer of Superflat, the flattening of cultural hierarchies. When you walk through the Cleveland exhibition, you are seeing this theory in spectacular action. Murakami takes the visual language of otaku culture, the subculture of obsessive fans of anime, manga, and video games, often seen as lowbrow or juvenile, and elevates it to the hallowed status of fine art. He places it inside the museum, on massive, immaculately produced canvases, and forces the art world to take it seriously. He's not just borrowing the aesthetic, he's arguing for its inherent value and importance as a true expression of contemporary Japanese identity. This leads us to the third dimension of Superflat, the flattening of time and history. Murakami's work often feels like a cultural blender set to high. He seamlessly merges the past, present, and future. In a single piece, you can find references to 18th century Zen Buddhist painting, 1970s sci-fi anime, and the latest trends in global street fashion. This is a direct commentary on how we experience culture today, especially in a hyper-connected digital world. History is no longer a linear progression. It's an accessible database of styles and ideas to be remixed and recontextualized. His art reflects this reality. It's a vibrant, sometimes disorienting, collage of historical and cultural signifiers, all coexisting on one flat plane. The cute or kawaii aesthetic that is so prominent in his work is a perfect example. While it seems innocent and playful on the surface, Murakami often links it to a darker undercurrent, a societal infantilization in post-war Japan, a retreat into the non-threatening world of cartoons as a coping mechanism for historical trauma and societal anxieties. The smile is a mask, and Superflat is the theory that helps us understand the complex reality hiding behind it. It's a critique of consumerism, where characters become logos and art becomes a product. It's an exploration of national identity, grappling with the legacy of war and the overwhelming influence of Western, particularly American culture. It's a deep dive into the psychology of a society that expresses its greatest fears and desires through the seemingly frivolous language of pop culture. So, when you stand before a Murakami piece in Cleveland, you're not just looking at a pretty picture. You're looking at a compressed, flattened representation of the last 70 years of Japanese history, a visual thesis on the state of global culture, and a deeply personal expression from an artist who stands at the very center of it all. It's complex, it's challenging, and it completely redefines what a work of art can be. Block 3. Murakami Cultural Impact. The revolutionary ideas of Superflat, so vividly on display in the Cleveland exhibition, could never be contained within the four white walls of a gallery. The very philosophy of flattening the boundaries between high and low culture demanded that Murakami break out of the art world bubble and engage directly with the commercial, mainstream world. And he did so with an impact that few artists in history have ever achieved. He didn't just collaborate with brands, he fundamentally changed the nature of artistic collaboration, transforming it from a niche practice into a global cultural phenomenon. His most legendary partnership, the one that truly cemented his status as a global icon, was with the French luxury fashion house Louis Vuitton in 2003. At the time, this was an audacious, almost unthinkable move. He took their revered, century-old monogram, a symbol of old-world European elegance, and completely reimagined it. He rendered it in 33 vibrant pop art colors on a white or black background. He peppered their classic bags with his smiling cherry blossoms, his big-eyed characters, and his signature camouflage patterns. The result was an absolute sensation. It was a perfect real-world execution of Superflat. The highest of high fashion was flattened, merged with the accessible, playful language of Japanese pop art. The Louis Vuitton boutique suddenly looked like a contemporary art installation. The collaboration was a massive commercial success, generating hundreds of millions of dollars and lasting for over a decade. But more importantly, it was a cultural earthquake. It introduced Murakami's name and aesthetic to millions of people who had never heard of him, people who might never set foot in a museum. It legitimized the idea that art and commerce could not only coexist, but could enrich one another, creating something new and powerful in the process. He wasn't selling out, he was proving his point. He demonstrated that the same artistic vision that hangs in the Cleveland Museum of Art could also exist on a handbag, and that one was not inherently more valid than the other. This was the ultimate flattening, collapsing the distinction between the museum and the department store. Murakami's influence didn't stop at fashion. He crashed into the music world with similar force, most famously through his collaboration with the hip-hop visionary Kanye West for his 2007 album. Murakami designed the album cover, a vibrant, optimistic piece depicting Dropout Bear being launched into the stratosphere from a university campus populated by his whimsical characters. He also directed an animated music video for the song Good Morning. This collaboration was a masterstroke, connecting two cultural innovators from completely different worlds. It exposed a massive global music audience to the superflat aesthetic. Kids who loved Kanye's music were now, consciously or not, being educated in contemporary Japanese art. It was another example of Murakami breaking down barriers, proving that his artistic language was universal. It could speak to the high-fashion elite in Paris and to hip-hop fans in Chicago with equal power and resonance. This ability to traverse different cultural landscapes is at the core of his impact. He has since collaborated with a staggering array of cultural figures and brands, from streetwear giants Supreme and sneaker brand Vans to musicians like Billie Eilish and J Balvin, each time injecting his unique vision into a new context and reaching a new audience. The Cleveland exhibition serves as a powerful focal point, a place where we can see the core ideas that have fueled this global takeover. Every piece in that gallery is a testament to an artist who not only understood the changing cultural landscape, but actively shaped it. He foresaw a world where the lines between art, entertainment, media, and commerce would become increasingly blurred, the world we live in now. His work is a commentary on globalization, on the way cultures blend and clash, and on the power of branding and visual communication. He built his own brand, Kai Kai Kiki, not just as a studio, but as a corporation for producing and marketing art, managing other artists, and creating merchandise. He adopted the strategies of mass-market companies to disseminate his fine art, another radical act of flattening. Takashi Murakami's legacy, therefore, is not just in the paintings and sculptures that fill museums. His true impact lies in how he has fundamentally challenged and expanded our very definition of what an artist can be in the 21st century. A theorist, a brand builder, a collaborator, and a cultural catalyst. He is a pop icon whose work is as likely to be seen on a skateboard deck as it is in a scholarly journal, and that is perhaps the most superflat achievement of all.